Yo, that sun is beautiful. With a little bit of light I'm getting on my face right now, I'm appreciative of that. And as this light shines on me and I feel just a tiny temperature rise upon my skin, it casts a shadow to the left of me. And I've got to acknowledge that that shadow exists, because as I move now, we're starting another Semen retention driving episode. As I reverse out the way, the sunlight's going to disappear. So no matter which way you move, you will always cast a shadow beneath the light of the sun. Now today I want to talk about a lot of things, okay? I want to first just say a classic biblical phrase: let the dead bury the dead, and let yourself make your bed. No, I'm joking. But let the dead bury the dead. I've been dabbling with my shadow recently. I've been letting my shadow express itself. I want to see what my shadow wants from me. I want to see what that dark side of myself wants to do. So what did I do? I had a date with Satan. The Grim Reaper RSVP'd to it. I had a toast with my ghost, and I also started to have a share a wine, share a beer, share a spirit with my shadow. And the whole point of this was to, I guess, self-realize again. Self-realize who I've become compared to who I was. I went back to that lower place. I went back to where I'd come from, because in order for me to head towards the sun, I must have come from a lower plane of existence. And that doesn't mean I'm jumping into some alternative reality, but technically it is an alternative reality, because the reality that I'm inhibiting is closer to something, whereas the reality I was before was further away to it. And I'm talking about the sun here, okay? Now, what happened? Well, I decided to go on dating apps and just go all out. I updated my profile, went on one date, arranged a couple of dates, had some phone talks, and talked to people on Messenger, all that kind of stuff. Just got to know what's out there, what's resonating with me on the online, in the online world. And it's safe to say, I'm light years away. And I don't mean that in a egotistical way, because here's the thing, is that this is so transformative, this semen retention journey. The amount of clarity you get upon your own shadow, upon your own flaws, upon your own disgusting desires, upon your own disgusting urges, upon the revoltingness of your depleted spirit, you are casting light upon those shadows, and as a result, you are acknowledging them. You are face to face with your dirty little secrets. And so when you go and play with your shadow, and you go and discuss, is this what I want to do? You can trial with it. Here we go. Stepping back into the sunlight once again. You can trial as much as you want with your shadow. But if you're still retaining your seed on semen retention or Stephen retention, as I am, moving on to 15 months now, guys, we're getting close. You know what's going to happen? Well, the higher you ascend, the more burns off. The closer to the sun you get, the more impurities burn off, and therefore you can't, do you really want to go all the way to where you were before? Do you really need to experience that again? Do you need to be stuck in a timeline loop? Because the reality is, holy moly, this online world that we inhabit right now is so fixated on differences. It's so fixated on biases, survival mechanisms, conditionings, I guess societal expectations that are imposed by certain cultures and ideologies that are put forward through devices such as the media, social media, and other channels of propaganda that make you think a certain way. And yet when you're on semen retention, you only think for yourself. Why the hell would you think any other way? Why do you care about what anyone else thinks? Why do you stop going with what feels right and what is true to yourself in order to appease someone else that doesn't value you? Oh my God. This is crazy. See, this is why I love being a musician on semen retention, is I can channel all this performative, this outwards expression that's pent up in me through my music. This is why you need a purpose, guys. This is why you need to be doing what you should be doing. And I'm telling you, when you do what you should be doing, the electromagnetic field starts to push and pull things towards you. I'm no longer in scarcity. I no longer react to quote unquote rejection. For example, out of all these girls I've been talking to, not one of them has rejected me. I've been on a date with one of them, but you know what I've done is I've pried into their consciousness. I've taken a look to see at where their awareness is. Not only just awareness of the external reality, but the internal reality as well. And I'm coming back to say to you guys, after going undercover, under the cover of my shadow, and seeing if I want to be friends with my shadow that closely, look, I don't really want to engage with my shadow anymore for the time being, because there's going to be another point on my ascension journey, getting closer to purity, burning off all those imperfections, that I will have to perch myself on the branch of the tree of life and allow myself to rest and just cool down under the shadow. That is what the shadow is there for, to cool down. And coincidentally, and let me remind you what a coincidence is, it's the intersecting point of two lines. That's what a coincidence is. So therefore, two things that relate to each other. Coincidence isn't happenstance, it isn't chance, it is relation. Okay? So coincidentally, this coming into my shadow phase has aligned perfectly with the southern hemisphere's winter solstice. So I have stepped into my shadow as this part of this plane that we live on has been in its darkness phase. And now I'm stepping out. You know, tomorrow is officially winter solstice. That is the peak of the darkness. It is the depth of the shadow. And I, 1 whole year plus 3 months, close to 3 months, so 14 and a half months basically, with all that experience, all that burning off aspects of my ego, burning off, you know, my ties to trauma and relations and all that kind of stuff, burning off all that attachment, burning off every single expectation, every single bias, everything that made me attached to something that was always going to end. All of that, imperfections, impurities, has been dealt with, and therefore this time, as the shadow comes back around, coincidentally at the same time as winter solstice, I'm left in darkness, holding on to my internal, eternal light. Do you understand? Do you understand how deep this goes? Yet how simple it is. Light and shade. You know, it contorts the image. It changes our perspective of things, light and shade. We don't just have shapes, we don't just have colours, we need light and shade to create more what? Depth. More what? Dimension. Okay? So, after talking to these females about their lives, and not just their lives, but their internal beings. Like one girl I was talking to, we were talking a lot more about, like, you know, up in the brain kind of type stuff. Another girl, I was talking to her in person. That was the one girl that I actually went on a date with. I was talking to her about the kind of internal, her, like she was telling me a bit more about her life and all that kind of stuff. You know, sorry, I just saw a nice Porsche. I'm still in the material reality. Oh, I love that. Yeah, look guys, these things that we're dealing with are all within us. For me, part of, I guess, this experience and taking a solid step back and looking at this little phase that I've gone through recently of you know, going into my shadow. Like I look at it and I realize there was an aspect of the divine feminine, of femininity, you know, that I needed to address. I needed to have a little bit of chaos. I always love using this analogy. In order to declutter, you got to mess up your whole house and then reorganize it by what is needed. You know, if you've got a house and you've got a lot of junk, if you've got a studio, you've got a lot of tools in your shed, you've got a lot of things in your car, make a mess, get everything out of your car, put it all on the ground and pick up what you actually need. So, me stepping into my shadow, I go into my shadow, I make a mess of all of what I want to achieve, okay? I put my purpose to the side and notice what is it that I actually need outside of my purpose. And I come back and I look at it and I'm like, okay, I need more connection with people. I need to express myself emotionally. But do I need to go to a restaurant to do that? No. Do I need to have someone come over and literally come over? I don't think so. Semen retention is the act of becoming and also overcoming your issues. As we hold on to that essence, we become, rather than coming into this reality again. We don't need to come into this reality. We need to become present. We need to become who we are right now. We don't need to come into the reality and leave traces of ourselves into this dimension. Unless, of course, there is a real purpose behind you that says, I have to propagate. I have to create another version of myself out there in order to continue what I'm doing. Like it's as simple as that, okay? So that's kind of where we're at, okay? I'm gonna leave this video there. This is a very philosophical video. And the sun still shines, yet it's still covered. It's still covered with all that junk. I just want a pure light to shine on me for a change. And I am annoyed at the fact that we have all this junk covering our light. All this pollution. All this residue of karma smeared across the one source of our being. The one thing that allows us to grow has all this pollution, perversion, noise, poison smeared across its light. Well, let me tell you this. This is the end. I don't care how much you want to smear my purity across the floor. I don't care about how much you want to say that because what I believe in, blah, 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 isn't aligned with you. You want to put me in a box? Well, good luck. I don't put myself in a box. I don't even bring boxes with me. There is nothing to confine my spirit. There is nothing to hold me into shape. I am formless. I am infinite. I am ever changing, ever evolving. This is life, is it not? Anyway, I hope you all have a great weekend. I'm going to probably do another video tomorrow, Friday, and hopefully some more on the weekend. But you guys, stay holding on to your seed. This is serious. Catch you later.